Hello and welcome to the mobility series. Today's routine is going to put the body into some interesting shapes. It's going to really challenge all the major joints in the body. So listen to the body, go at your own pace, and don't forget to breathe. Let's get straight into it. So the first routine or first exercise we're going to get into is our simple back rotations. So laying on the ground, we're going to just fold the leg over the knee and we're just going to roll the hips over to the side, and we're going to reach your right arm up over and away from the body. So it's a really good one for opening up the chest, stretching through the arm. So let's take some nice deep breaths here. So you might not be able to get the knee all the way down to the mat, or you might find the biggest restriction is actually in this right arm. So we can just modify a little bit, raising the arm up, sinking the hips over a little bit more, and then reaching with the arm. So find that point where it feels like a nice deep stretch, and let's hold it here. As a general rule of thumb, we want to hold a lot of these stretches for at least a minute, if not two, to really see the full benefits of a lot of these stretches. Take a nice deep breath in, and then on the exhale, breathing out and allowing to sink a little bit deeper. You might feel that you're getting some pins and needles in the hands. Okay, if this becomes too uncomfortable, just bring the arm up and just give it a bit of a shake out, move around and rejoin the stretch. So often that's down to some form of compression through the chest, or maybe just a lot of tension through the arm. So none of this should be painful. It should feel like a nice, deep, comfortable stretch. Okay, a few more breaths here. And then switching sides. So coming over, bringing the left knee over the right knee, and dropping down to the right, and then reaching the left arm up. So straight away, it's a good opportunity to feel the difference between left and right. You might find that one side is a lot more mobile than the other. You might feel the tension a little bit different from left to right. So let's breathe into that tension, take a nice deep breath in, and on the exhale, just sinking down a little deeper. And let's hold it here. And again, you might be feeling maybe some tingling in the hands, some pins and needles. So if that's getting a little bit uncomfortable, we can just bring the arm up and release that tension. And then rejoin the posture. So again, that sort of pins and needles feeling could just be through some compression of the main nerves that run down that left arm. Might be up in the chest, it might be through the forearms. It might even be stemming from the neck. So just listen to the body. If it's really uncomfortable, then just back out a little bit. Okay, a couple more breaths here. Okay, and then coming back up, we're just going to go back to the other side again. So put that right knee over the left knee and drop the hips out to the side and raise the right arm up. Reach in with that arm and just allowing the back to rotate. This is a great exercise to do at the end of the day. Okay, we're working on the hips, we're working on the shoulders, the upper back, working throughout that whole arm. So it's really important we don't force any of these. Much better to find that first tension spot, hang out there, breathe into it, and on the exhale, allowing the body to sink a little bit deeper. Okay, a couple more breaths here. So on this first session, just take note where the body's at and use that as a benchmark when you return to do this routine again. See where the body's at. Okay, and then coming up, and popping the left knee over the right leg and rotating to the right again and reaching up with that left arm. Okay, so straight away you'll feel maybe some differences, not 100% symmetrical. You know, we're looking for those big red flags, those big mobility restrictions. And that will just highlight areas to work on. So let's keep that breath fluid. Breathing into the belly. A few more breaths here. Then coming up into sitting. Good work. Okay, for our next exercise, just going to need a chair or a couch. So just grab one or the other. Just place that on the mat. Okay, so this is called the couch stretch. It's a fantastic exercise for working the front of the legs. So place the foot up onto the chair or the couch. Place the knee down on the ground. So you might need to put a pillow under the knee, or some kind of cushion, okay, and then just step that right foot out. So from here, the aim is to sit back and try and reach the heel, okay. Everyone has various degrees of mobility through the front of the legs, so just work with the body. You might be at first here and you're feeling that stretch through the front here. So just hang out there. You might just want to rest the elbow on the knee. So find that first point of restriction. Take a few breaths. And then on the exhale, sink a little bit deeper. Let's move back. But it's really important that we draw the pelvis up towards the ribs. So we really aim to keep that pelvis nice and level and sitting back. So this is one of the best stretches, I would say, for front of the thighs. You know, typically we would perform this stretch standing on one leg, holding onto something and grabbing hold of the foot. But what you find is you're having to try and balance, and inevitably that leg swings out to the side and you end up missing that real central component of the front of the thigh. So let's again sit back, breathing into it, draw the pelvis up. Most people's thighs or quads are pretty tight, okay? The hamstrings are probably the most stretched muscle in the body. The quads are often neglected. So let's hang out here. You'll feel a real stretch, maybe more down on the side, on the outside, or more through the middle. So let's hang out here. Let's keep drawing that pelvis in, breathing in, and breathing out, and sinking a little bit deeper. So again, holding this for at least a minute each side to get the full benefit. So again, it might be a bit hard on the knees, so put adequate padding under that left knee. And then coming out nice and slowly. Let's swap sides. So placing the right foot up, left foot out, and let's sit back into that right thigh. So this is a great one to do in the evening when you're watching TV. Throw the foot up on the couch and just work through that front thigh. Breathing nice and deeply into the belly, keeping that diaphragmatic breathing consistent. And then exhaling and sinking back. So a great one if you're having issues with your lower back. If you're having issues with hamstrings or calves, quite often the issue isn't where you're feeling the pain. The interaction the thigh has, or the quads have on that pelvis, and the hamstrings and the calves. So it's just about exploring the body and just seeing where you're holding most of that tension. Let's hang out here for a few more breaths. Okay, backing off if you need to, if it's too intense. Breathing deeply into the belly. And then coming out. Right, we're going to do one more set on each side. So dropping that knee down and coming up. Create a nice wide stance, so bring that right foot out. So you're nice and balanced, you can really sink into the front of that thigh. And let's hang out here. So if you can get your glutes back onto your heel, I'd say you've got pretty good range of motion through that knee, through the thigh. If we're here and you're not feeling anything, just make sure we're drawing that pelvis up. Okay, leveling that pelvis. Let's hold it here. Doesn't matter what degree you're at. If you're out here and it's tight, then just start with there. And then just slowly over time, working back. So what typically happens when we're really tight through the front of the legs, it pulls on the front of the pelvis and tilts our pelvis forward. And that puts quite a lot of pressure into our lower back. It's one component of lower back pain. It's certainly a component in knee pain. There's no one stretch that fixes all the problems, but it's about working through the body and just seeing where the tension is. And also just assessing from left to right. If you've got one side that is super tight versus the other, then that just gives you some ideas around areas to work on. Okay, and then coming out nice and slowly. And one more time.
on our right hand side. So again, set yourself up, bring that left foot out, create a nice platform and sit back and take a few deep breaths, and on the exhale sink in a little bit deeper. So again, I would say holding each stretch for at least a minute. That way you're really making change. 2 minutes is ideal. You know, we have to ask the question, if you hold a stretch for 10 or 15 seconds, realistically how much benefit that will give you. Will very quickly return back to normal. And again, if we don't back up these sessions, these mobility sessions, with some kind of core stability training or movement practice where we're building strength and stability, then the body will revert back quite quickly. So the mobility series is a component. It's not the one session that's going to solve all the issues. So when you combine all the 3 series together, then we're really hitting a lot of the key elements of good movement and injury prevention. Okay, so take a few more breaths here. Breathing into the belly. Sitting back, drawing that pelvis up. Okay, this should feel like a good stretch. Okay, then coming out. Good work. Right, let's pop the chair over to the side. And let's get into the stretches through the back of the legs. So, we're going to extend the left leg out. And we're going to bring the right foot to the inside of that leg, like so. Okay, so this right foot can be anywhere placed on the inside of the leg. Okay, you might be able to get it all the way up. Okay, and from here, we're going to just gently push down that knee. Left knee might be slightly bent. We're just going to reach over to the outside of our left leg. Okay, if you simply can't reach that foot, just bend the knee slightly and just work on there. Over time, we'll be able to get a little bit more freedom through the back of the legs. But quite often, the restriction isn't actually in the back of the leg. It could be through the back, and you'll feel this maybe in the lower back on the right hand side. You might feel it up through the side of the body into the shoulder. Okay, but if you can get that knee down touching the mat, then do so. And if you can reach a little bit further, then we're going to sink down. And let's just hold it here. Aim the forehead towards that left knee. And again, don't force it. The body doesn't respond very well if we're pushing it too much. So just find that first point of resistance. Take a couple of breaths here. And then on the exhale, sinking down a little bit deeper. And again, just holding it there. You're not going to achieve everything in this first class. The results happen over time. So again, holding it for at least a minute to make the most out of each of these moves. Okay, a couple more breaths here. And then coming up. Okay, extending the right leg out now and placing the left foot on the inside of that right leg. And again, reaching up and reaching over. And again, if you need to bend the knee slightly just to start off with, you can grab the leg, then do so. You can be slightly bent in this, and let's just gently work away, trying to flatten that leg down. Okay, if the foot's just way out of reach, then we can just place the hand on the shin, but some kind of rotation through the upper body is going to be good. And again, we're just looking at where the tension is in your body. You might find that one side you can reach that foot, but on the other it's just completely out of range. So nice deep breath in all the way into the belly, and then breathing out and sinking a little bit deeper. And aiming that forehead towards that right knee. So again, don't push it right to the edge. You want to find just that first point of resistance. Take a nice deep breath in, and then exhale and sink a little bit deeper. We're getting a little bit of rotation through the upper back, working our lats that run up from our pelvis into our shoulder, working the back of the legs, working the soles of the feet. And then coming up. Okay, and switching sides. Okay, so second set. Reaching down, grabbing the outside of that left leg. Okay, bending the knee at first if you need to. Let's gently work on the back of the leg. So we're working the whole pattern here, all the way from our right shoulder into our left leg. We're rotating a bit through our back. We're sinking the neck down. Breathing deep. And we're just exploring our own body and where that tension lies. And again, it's not about being really flexible. It's about really highlighting differences between our left and right side and how well we can control movement. Let's sink down a few more breaths. Breathing deeply into the belly, and then on the exhale, sinking down a little bit deeper. And again, a couple more breaths. And then coming up. Extending that right leg out. Getting the left foot on the inside of that leg to some degree. Reaching over and grabbing the outside of that right leg. And just find that first point of resistance. Take a deep breath in. And then exhale, sink a little bit deeper. So take your time with these stretches. Just work with the body. Keep breathing into the belly. And a few more breaths here, breathing in all the way to the top. And then breathing out and sinking in. And then coming up. Good work. Okay. So we're going to get into our deep squat now. So you might want to put a couple of pillows or towels underneath the heels on this one. Okay, so the heels can be a little bit off the ground. And we're just going to sit down into the deep squat. The back can be slightly rounded as well. Make sure the knees are out. And we're sitting down. And we're getting comfortable. So this is a fantastic exercise that you can do in the evenings and hold on to the coffee table as support. You can get the elbows on the inside of the knees and we're going to hold it here. So the squat is a real key fundamental movement pattern of the human body, a position we used to be in a lot during the day. We used to eat our meals in the squat, prepare food, and you look at the cultures that still incorporate this position, and they have some of the lowest rates of musculoskeletal pain in the world. And here what we've got is the hips are in this full range of motion, the knees are completely at their end range. We're working on the ankles, we're opening up the hips. So we spend a lot of our time, even if we're pretty active, we spend a lot of our time sitting down in the day. Average person in New Zealand sits for between 10 and 15 hours a day. And some of us might sit for 5 hours a day, but that's still a lot of time in a pattern that isn't really great for the body. So during your work day, this is a great one to get into. Push those knees open, hands can be out in front, we can be holding onto a coffee table. We can have some towels rolled underneath the heels, and we're just going to sit here and explore the hips. All the while keeping that breath nice and fluid. Feel that you can sink the heels down a little bit more now. Might be able to push the knees out a little bit more. You know, none of this should be painful. None of it should feel dodgy or not quite right. If it is, just come out a little bit. And you might want to put your hands here and just come out a little bit. Just put a bit of weight through the hands and then sink back down. We can rock a little bit side to side. Reach the arms out, we can sink a little bit deeper. But let's hold it here in whatever position feels okay for you. I think if we can improve our hip range of motion, if we're tight through there, this is a component of lower back pain and a component of issues with knees and ankles. It's not the only problem, but it's certainly quite a common one. So let's stay here. We're going to hold this for a little bit longer, pushing the knees out, spreading the toes on the mat. Okay, a few more breaths here. And then from here, we're going to come down onto the knees, toes tucked underneath us. We're just going to sit up and just give the hips a little bit of rest. We might need to put a pillow underneath the back of the legs here. Okay, so we're just giving the soles of the feet a bit of a stretch here. Breathing into the belly. Okay, and then coming back up again into our deep squat. So toes on the mat, sinking down, hands out in front, dropping the heels down towards the mat. Again, you might want to roll some towels underneath those heels. So just figure out what works for you, what feels good. Okay, we're not trying to stress the body out in any of these postures. We're trying to improve range of motion. Trying to give the body good feedback in a calm environment to change, modify, adapt. So if you feel like your heart rate's rising up and we're sweating and we're putting too much effort into it, just ease out a little bit. Drop to the knees. Okay, there's no pressure to go to any depth. So in today's session you might find some stretches really challenging. Some you may have found really easy. So it's about picking those ones out that you found challenging and making a little mini routine for yourself to work on throughout the day. Okay, reaching the hands out, rolling the back, sitting down into the hips. Coming back up, just making the modifications that feel good for you. But keeping that breath fluid. Okay, good work. Right, we're going to finish up the session on our back, as we do with all these routines. Open up the feet. Open up the hands. Stretch those legs out. And let's work on our breath for this final posture. Breathing into the belly, all the way to the top. You may want to put one hand on your stomach, one on your chest. Breathing in. Making the inhale between 4 to 6, maybe 8 seconds in. Holding it right at the top of the inhale. And then matching the exhale in duration. So letting all the air out nice and slowly. So let's move away from this upper chest breathing. Okay, when we're breathing diaphragmatically, the diaphragm's dropping down into our abdomen, creating pressure, creating stability. Okay, we spend a lot of our time when we're training, when we're working in a slightly heightened alert state. We're very rarely in this position where we're tapping into our parasympathetic system. Let's take this opportunity to allow the body to adapt and change. So today's routine created a window of opportunity. So give yourself a good 5 minutes after today's session, if you've got time, to work on your breathing. So I hope you enjoyed today's class. Thank you for joining me. I look forward to seeing you on the mat tomorrow. Have a great day and thank you.